When people come, like friends will come over to the house, they'll be like, wow, your parents such a beautiful home, it's like a hotel. And I was like, oh, I don't like coming home. I want to go to your house. You know, it's more fun there.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
You know, that, mothers, everybody always miss, mothers that cook, and they'll be like, it's that family moment. Yeah. And when my parents moved me here, I think one thing that I personally had to adjust, because I was still a growing child, I was a teen, it was complete culture shock where I realized, that weekend thing is not a everyday thing, because that was the only way, up until I was 12, that was the only thing I ever experienced with my parents. I never knew that, there are off days where you're probably also going to witness your parents fight, because I didn't. I lived the weekend life, up until I was 12 to 13, and I moved here. And then I started realizing, I was like, things are different Monday to Friday. You don't get that anymore. It's not like fun every day, cooking meal every day. Oh, mom and dad actually, they do work, and and they're not always home, and it was just so many things coming. And these are the stories in my home. And so like, I started, they put me into international school, and I started making friends. And it's that point, like, I wanted to ask, like, were there moments where you know somebody that doesn't want to go home because it's either empty or there's energy that they don't want? Because there was a phase in my whole like growing up teen life where I didn't want to go home because I knew going home meant there's nobody there. And I became like the adopted child in every single like of my best friend's home. I became so much a big part of their family. And so I enjoyed, serving. And I guess that's where I built my culture of like, I want to, put platters like this together. I'm very particular about table setting and all that because it's slightly different from my family, culture, right? And I think it's that when there was a moment where I didn't want to go home because I was like, why would I want to go home? There's nobody at home. Yeah. It's just my parents had a beautiful home then, and it was just so gigantuan. I was the only child in that home, and they'll work really late hours. I just never. And when people come, like friends will come over to the house, they'll be like, wow, your parents such a beautiful home, it's like a hotel. And I was like, oh, I don't like coming home. I want to go to your house. It's more fun there because your mom, some of my friends, their moms are not working moms, right? And their mom's always like, oh, JJ's here, she's always hungry. We need to have food in the house, she's visiting, we're gonna feed her. That's my personal experience. I was wondering like if you experienced that where somebody didn't want to go home because it was that setting.
I think I'm lucky enough or blessed enough in a way to have such a wonderful family. We may not have the most expensive stuff in the world. Like even the current house that we have is very small, and my parents are sick. Both mom is sick, dad is okay. But I love them. I mean, I used to study overseas as well, but I can't wait to come home. There's a moment you feel like, okay, I want a holiday for 3 weeks. Normally after 15 days, I start to like, I miss home. I miss going back home, sleeping in my own bed, and meeting with my parents, having dinner with them. So for me, I never experienced that, but I know there are some people who do not like to go home, just because it's so cold for them.
I never experienced it in the own home that I built with my husband and children, but there was a time when my parents were separated for 2 years. And so every time I would go back to Germany, I did not want to go home because my dad was living in a house and my mom was living in another apartment, right? And it was awful coming back to that house that I grew up in, and I would step in and I'm like, love doesn't live here. Wow. Right? It was just cold. Even though, it might have been cluttered, but that wasn't it. There was just, there was something else that was missing, and it was not something visible, obviously. It was absolutely the void of love and the void of nurturing. And it was, and so I think it was just the mother was missing, the wife was missing, and I do believe. I'm not sure, but I think honestly, mostly the love and the nurturing and that feeling comes from the female side. I've never been to a man's house who lives alone, who has that
touch,
that feel of nurturing, right? And that's why they call it like the bachelor pad or whatever.
I was going to mention
it always feels cold. Like literally, it always feels cold, right? And so I would step into my parents' house when I would come home, and it would feel cold. And I literally couldn't stay there, even though my dad said, "Please stay here." And I'm like, I can't stay here. This is not, doesn't feel right. I would feel, I wouldn't be able to sleep properly. I just, So I would stay in my aunt's house, which was, for me at the time, that was really such a blessing, because my aunt was always an inspiration to me. She has like that touch, that soul, the love and the peace in her house. And so there was like a safe haven for about those 2.5 years every time I would go back to Germany. And then, fortunately, my parents, they made peace and they found each other on a new level again. And so after 2.5 years, they actually got back together, and when I met them, I was like, wow, there is more love than before. Wow. There was more, right? And when I haven't been home yet since they're like moved back together, but I'm sure like ever since my mom moved back in, even on Skype, when I see it, not Skype, I see it on WhatsApp video call or or FaceTime, I can already see how the life is back in the house, the warmth, and just life is happening again there. And so it really makes all the difference if the relationships in the house are actually functioning.
That's right.
If they want to work on themselves and figure things out together.
Maybe you had a difficult past, like maybe you didn't love your home before, but I wish in the new home that you are going to build in the future, you know the good things that you want to put inside your house or inside your home for your children, for your family. Even if you're not married, even if you don't have children, you can always welcome other people to come. I love going to JJ's house because
me too.
I'm coming soon.
Yeah.
please, you're more than
well fed, food all over, and I think
wine.
Yes, and wine too.
And wine too.
It's wine. Yes.
I really think it's important, even though if you are single, you can always showing other people what love is. I think that is important, and no matter how hard your past, maybe you didn't grow up in such a loving family, and sometimes you envy or you look at, like you mentioned, you look at other people, but that's what inspires you, right? You want to build that kind of home. That you want your children one day want to come back home and say, I love my home. No matter how cluttered it is, I still love my home.
I actually have a joke when you mentioned like the bachelor pad. So I have 2 little stories to tell. He's one of my close guy mate, and OCD, very neat, very rare breed, very neat person, clean. But then it was how I would describe. It wasn't that he had no taste. It was sterile. It was very practical, like, banker-like. And then he met the love of his life, who she had a lot of taste. She was an interior, but then before he met her, we would always we move around friends' house to have like our potluck and cookout. And the moment he started dating her, and they were already engaged, and they were preparing then they got married, and obviously she moved in officially. There's like 3 girls in this like gang, and the 3 of us were like, wow, the touch of a woman is here. And it's the same exact house. His DNA is still there, but you see that love and admiration he has for his wife. He would start saying, so she would do this. You see that's by her, and then my cookbook. Because he's a great cook too, right? Both of them, she's great at setting the table, and he's great at cooking. And so he's like, no, so she got the stand, and we got this. See, she got all that taste. She added her touches everywhere that allowed her to translate her genius and her beauty and her love into the home. The husband is like, he's so proud of their space, right? And then another little tidbit is like about me. I had a previous Mba, and she was really, really cute, and she herself got inspired, so she was saving up because she was trying to build a home for her children. And so one day she was, we were just, I'm a little bit of OCD too. I like cleaning. And then she was like, we're bringing down my stash. And then so she was like, Miss JJ, if you get married one day, you don't need, I guess she didn't know how to say registry. You don't need people to buy you gifts. You bought everything for yourself already. It's like you have this plate, you have this skillet, everything. He's like, what's all this? I was like, I don't know. She's like, is this for your future home? And I never thought about it. It was just like, I couldn't, because I'm still living with my parents. And there were moments where I could actually translate my touch. Like if you come to my home, from China, whatever, it's all my parents, right?
Yeah.
But I still love it because it's their DNA. Yeah. And I'm still proud of my house. But yeah, now that we're having this conversation, I'm thinking, I really wonder how my own home would be like when I have one and when I build one.
I'm also thinking about
right?
that too. Like, okay, what kind of home that I'm going to build in the future?
Yeah.
I think that's something definitely to discuss with your future husband.
Yeah.
Because it's two people coming
We're looking
together.
at each other.
I know, we're like,
Right? It's two people coming together and taking the best from each other's cultures and upbringing, and then fusing that into something that's just going to be your own for your own family. I think that's where the beauty lies, and that will make your family so unique, right?
Yeah.
And I think every family is really unique and beautiful in its own way. And I love that you said you have your parents' china. I love that in my house because it's something that's handed down from generation. I speak about that in the book as well.
Wow.
Those are actually beautiful things to have in your home because one day when your parents are not there anymore, every time you use the china, you think about them, So it's something I touch on in the book as well. Yeah.
I have a funny question to ask the two beautiful moms at our table to help the two clueless. How do you arrive at a healthy consensus with your spouse and in creating,
Or how to build that kind of
love? Yeah, that
in
love
the
that you're
home.
talking
There
about.
must be
How do
some
you
tips and
bring that
tricks.
into a home that when I walk in or someone walk in, they're like, I want to be here. I love this place.
I want to be like them.
I think what we already said was that the relationship between the people has to be good, right? So you have to start building healthy relationships, and there is a few things that you can absolutely consciously do to build healthy relationships. Like let's say with your husband, right? So we really work hard on this at home, right? Daniel and I, we always plan a date night per week. It just has to happen, because if we don't have healthy conversations and just the two of us have this time together where we talk heart to heart, if not at least once a week, then we will kind of drift apart, and there will be so many things unspoken that can build up, and then you can hold grudges against each other because you never spoke things out when it was actually the time to do so. So practically, I think date nights are absolutely helpful in creating a good relationship with your husband.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to really put it in your schedule, don't just say, oh yeah, next week, and then you never really plan it. We really plan it. We plan it always, on every weekend we plan the date night of the next week, and so we always work on that. And I think other things that we do is meal times with the kids together. We always have breakfast together. I mean, almost always. There's always an exception to the rule, but we always try to have as many breakfasts together with the children, or meal times, dinner, putting them to bed together and reading them stories. It's those tiny things that create a family culture. And it's something to always look forward to. So it's kind of predictability, and you can look forward to it, and it brings you joy. And it's also nice for the children because they know, tonight mommy's going to read me a story, or on Saturday it's pancake day, and we're going to have pancakes together. They know when it's Saturday because there's no school, right? So they're like, it's pancake day. And I used to be the one always making the pancakes, the German style pancakes. And now that Mila is 8, she started making the pancakes. And Noam will be the one standing next to her, always lifting the cloth off the plate when she's done doing another pancake. And it's become It's a family culture, right? Everyone,
I love that
involved.
story. Yeah.
It's also empowering for them to be able to do something by themselves and together, and so it's something that you can create.
Yeah.
But every family, I think, will create a different culture. It might be you wrap dumplings once a week or once a month. You know, like there might be a special dumpling day that
We do when we're young. We do the onde.
Yeah.
You know, the glutinous rice. Yeah.
Did you do that regularly? Was there a special day when
Special
you were doing it?
day, but I always sit down with my mom, and then we together we make that glutinous rice. So it's like a culture.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
yeah.
a family culture that you're doing that.
What about you, Dewi?